In the fog-covered war zone of eastern Ukraine, a surreal and terrifying scene is unfolding. Russian troops, riding stripped-down cars, motorcycles and improvised assault vehicles are storming towards the city of Pokrovsk. Observers have dubbed these attacks Mad Max Force Attack, a bizarre yet deadly strategy that signals Moscow's edge in the battlefield and Kyiv's growing dilemma. Today we break down how 150,000 Russian soldiers are tightening the noose around Pokrovsk and why military experts are begging President Zelensky to pull Ukrainian troops out before it's too late. Welcome back to TFI Global. On November 11th, a Telegram channel began circulating footage that almost looked fictional. A convoy of battered cars with doors ripped off, soldiers clinging to roofs, motorcycles zigzagging through the fog, and drones hovering overhead. But this wasn't a movie. It was a real Russian assault on the outskirts of Pokrovsk. Independent analysts like Reuters and NBC News verified the location, the southern suburbs of the embattled city. Ukrainian spokesman Vladislav Voloshin confirmed that more than 300 Russian soldiers infiltrated Pokrovsk using these improvised light vehicles, specifically designed to exploit the fog, speed and gaps in Ukrainian defenses. This marks a major shift in Russian battlefield tactics. Mechanized assaults with tanks and IFVs had been failing. Now Russia is gambling on speed, chaos and overwhelming numbers. Mad Max warfare in a real-world conflict. And behind these small raiding groups stands an enormous force. According to Ukraine's Commander-in-Chief Alexander Syrsky, up to 150,000 Russian troops have massed around Pokrovsk. Russia sees Pokrovsk as the gateway to Donetsk. Taking it would cut key Ukrainian supply routes and open the door for Russian advances towards Kramatorsk and Sloviansk, two of the most important cities still under Ukrainian control. Open source mapping from the Institute for the Study of War shows that Russia now controls about 46% of Pokrovsk, 10% of neighboring Myrnorad and is closing in on the northern railway station. Putin has declared this battle a must-win, personally supervising operations through Chief of the General Staff Valery Gerasimov. Before the war, Pokrovsk was a home to around 60,000 people, a mining and logistics hub. Now it's mostly empty. Buildings have reduced to rubble, roads cratered by bombs, and the sound of engines echoing through the fog. Ukrainian soldiers on the ground describe catastrophic conditions. One fighter posted, "It's a complete disaster. 10,000 of us are surrounded. It's Sudza all over again." Desertions have risen. Some units slip out through the fog without orders. Others hold on, fighting from shattered apartment blocks and industrial ruins. Zelensky insists he is not forcing soldiers to die for ruins, yet he also says that Ukraine cannot simply abandon eastern Ukraine. A political dilemma on top of a military crisis. Meanwhile, Russia is suffering too. Fog limits the drone visibility. Columns get stuck and hit by Ukrainian artillery, but Moscow keeps sending more men. As the situation deteriorates, a chorus of experts are sounding the alarm. Ukrainian military analyst Serhiy Shevchuk warned, "The fate of this city is already decided. We must withdraw to save our soldiers." Vitaly Deniga, founder of the Comeback Alive charity, echoed, "If we don't withdraw from Pokrovsk and Myrnorad now, we may have no one left to plug the front." Reports from the Washington Post and Financial Times describe growing fears of an imminent encirclement, a pocket that could trap thousands of Ukrainian troops, similar to past disasters earlier in the war. On social media, military analyst Chuck Pifaro warned that Russia is preparing a push with 27,000 fresh troops, 100 tanks, 260 armored vehicles. He calls this a potential catastrophic bloodbath unless Ukraine pulls back to a more defensible line. Zelensky's response has been cautious. He says local commanders will decide whether to withdraw and he will support them. He emphasizes saving lives, but he also understands the political cost of losing Pokrovsk. According to battlefield monitor Deep State, Pokrovsk is now surrounded from 3 sides. Only one corridor remains about 15 kilometers wide for Ukrainian logistics and reinforcements. If that route is cut, thousands of defenders could be trapped. Heavy Russian bombing, guided glide bombs and infantry assaults are rapidly narrowing this corridor. Fog gives Russia cover for infiltration. Night drone strikes shake the city, and both sides know that if Pokrovsk falls, Ukraine's defense across all Donbass becomes far more difficult. The battle for Pokrovsk is part of something bigger. Russia is also pushing hard in Kupiansk and Zaporizhia. Ukraine has already withdrawn from several villages due to manpower shortages, and winter is arriving, along with massive Russian missile and drone barrages targeting Ukraine's power grid. Zelensky warned that the system is almost at zero capacity. If Ukraine loses Pokrovsk, it could trigger a domino effect across the Eastern Front. As the fog lifts and Russia's Mad Max convoys press deeper into the city, one question dominates the debate. Will Zelensky authorize a retreat to save the army, or will Pokrovsk become the next Bakhmut or Avdiivka, a costly battle that ends in a Russian victory? For now, the city's ruins echo with engines, explosions, and the desperate pleas of soldiers and experts urging Ukraine to pull back before it's too late. Thanks for watching.